Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth episode of the SideQuest. So today we are asking this question: do we feel safe in our jobs in tech industry, or does it now feel like one of the riskiest bets we are taking in our careers? This is SideQuest, where we talk about work, business, culture, and stuff in between. Welcome. Hi, Jamie.
Hello, dear wife. How are you?
All good. So,
yes. Surviving our fourth episode so far?
It feels surreal. I feel today's topic is going to be quite interesting because we both work in tech.
Convenient, that, isn't it? It would be terrible if we were talking about surgery.
I would definitely not feel safe talking about surgery with you.
You've seen me debone a chicken thigh, so let's move on quickly, shall we?
Yes. So I'm a product marketer and you work in tech project management. When we started out a couple of years back or even before that, we used to feel like, okay, we have done something. We are in the right industry now. Do you feel stable working in this industry versus the previous industry that you were in terms of your income, identity, and routine, or it doesn't feel stable anymore? What's your take in it?
I'd say no, it doesn't feel particularly stable, but there are some caveats to that which are unique to me. Obviously, I joined one company and that was part of a takeover. And obviously that comes with a lot of instability. So that's happened. And I think our department has finally found its place because we've been bumped around a bit. We've been kept together, but we've been bumped around a bit. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say stable. And I also wouldn't say there was opportunities there at the moment either. So there's not like there's a risk and reward situation.
If I have to take a step back and re-ask that question, because you had a very long run in hospitality where you led teams, where you actually defined the strategy, and then you moved into tech as well, which industry feels safer?
Do I feel secure coming into tech industry? So when I was moving across, I had an idea of what it'd be like. Obviously, you were in the tech industry already, and generally speaking, I would have said it's not as stable as hospitality. What I have noticed whilst being in it for this amount of time now is that it's just kind of the same as a lot of other industries, really. It's a lot of people not really knowing what to do, but just trying their best. 90% of it seems to be, can I cover up the mistake I made without anybody noticing? At times I do think it's more about how many friends you have than what your ability is, but it's kind of moving away from the point. But in terms of stability, no, I wouldn't say it was overly stable for me because there is also the caveat that I was part of an acquisition into a much larger company. And it's been about 2 years since that started, if not a bit longer. But we seem to be in a decent place now. So probably going to get stabler. But obviously, we've just come out of a long period of not being stable. Time will tell. So you've been in some different kind of tech environments with completely different cultures and mindsets. How do you feel?
When I first entered tech, it was one of the early days of its boom. And you obviously felt like you made it in your life. You are in the right industry. One thing that I don't like about tech industry is with the boom, obviously it attracted a lot of people. Organizations become overly bloated because there is an overhire. And with AI, people have started realizing that, hey, we are over investing in certain places. And that's why I think there is a reshuffling of resources that's happening. And it's moving towards AI right now. And that makes you feel a bit unstable. I don't know how the technology, even though I work in it, is going to evolve into. And just going back to, our question, I feel that this is a time where we should very smartly not put all our eggs in one basket. It's time to start finding new baskets. I also feel when investment-wise, even sentiments around the industry, human resources are now deprioritized because people want to focus on producing GPUs, right? That's where your chunk of money is going. But you said something very interesting a while back. You felt hospitality industry is much more predictable, but is it? And it is also known to be not one of the nicest industries to work in.
No, I know what you're saying. It's COVID and everything's happened since. From an owner's perspective, is absolutely manic and it's a pit of money at this point. But I was in management, so I found that actually quite secure, even though there was quite high pressure. I would never go back to it. I like weekends. I like not working over Christmas. It's not a fair industry to be in anymore. I know a lot of my friends are in it, are quite downbeat about it, and they would like to get out. No, it's not what it was pre-COVID. But in terms of just stability, because I was in a management position and you kind of held everything together, they couldn't get rid of you, especially if you did your first 2 years and you did well, they wouldn't get rid of you because they know that you're reliable and consistent, which was kind of the important thing.
Comparing between tech and hospitality, is it just because of physical high demand as well as your mental high demand that you don't want to go back to hospitality? Or is there something else? Because what do you feel is a downside of tech industry then?
So to answer the first part, I don't want to go back to hospitality because it wasn't mentally stimulating anymore. There was nothing for me to achieve. And I didn't want to go down the route of being head of operations because I've seen what that does to people over a couple of years. They go from looking very youthful to looking very stressed very quickly. Second part of your question, stress when it comes to the tech industry, it's just how slow things move. You get a lot of people just going, this needs to be done instantly. And then you start the process and then you're going, oh, it's going to take 3 months. Why is it going to take 3 months? And I'm going, I don't know. You wrote the process.
In terms of product roadmap, sometimes things get derailed, but it is not always as slow as you make it sound right now. Like things do move very quickly. There are so many things simultaneously happening. So is it just the slowness that you're comparing with the hospitality industry, or,
Could
there's
be.
something else?
It could just be that I find decision making very slow.
Is it more about predictability or about control that you don't like at the moment?
I think it's quite funny how much control project managers don't have, because obviously, strictly speaking, they've got no authority over anyone, and that card does get played a lot by people involved in projects. You're not my boss. No, I'm not.
I completely understand that, because in product marketing too, even though we are responsible for a lot of outputs, we are not responsible for input part, which means we don't own sales, we don't own product, we don't own marketing, but we are responsible for output that is crucial. And we also get told many a time, you're not the boss. So I understand.
Yeah, I did say to somebody once early on who was pushing it quite a lot. If I was your boss, you wouldn't be getting away with the way you're speaking to me right now. That went down well. At the end of it, that guy's been very collaborative ever since. Win to win. So which one do you prefer? Would you prefer salary predictability or kind of long-term control over what you do?
I think for me particularly, I like having really good structure, really good direction, but unpredictability part. Even though salary gives you momentary stability, it is very unpredictable, right? It depends on your company, it depends on goal. Hell, it even depends on your manager waking up one day and thinking that you don't bring value. It can be anything. So I feel that I'll rather have much more long-term control and build based on my experiences that I have accumulated so far and monetize it rather than always being dependent on salary. However, it is hard to build business from scratch. So I feel they both have their own particular places in my life. I definitely would not put all my eggs in my salary basket as well. I'm looking to diversify. I'm trying to. Will I be successful? I don't know.
Who knows? Yes, we need to be positive. We will be very successful. So just in terms of loyalty, would you say with the companies you work for, you've ever felt loyal to them, as in you as an employee, or was it more just it's a job?
It's a very beautiful question. I feel anyone who wants to deliver more than 100%, they have loyalty of some sort. It might not be company, it might be towards your output, which is associated with your job. I do feel loyal in terms of wherever I work, I want that company to grow. I want us to deliver better than what we have delivered last year in terms of the teams that I lead and teams that I'm part of as well. I am loyal as long as it also extends a kind of loyalty to me in terms of my growth, in terms of providing me some sort of stability, because I know I give more than my 100% to whatever job that I do. I would not say I'm going to spend 10 years in a single job and expect people to actually mind read me and give me what I deserve. I also feel that as long as there is a growth graph, it's okay to be in a company. After that, you also have to be loyal to yourself. But I have seen that you're not like that. In terms of longevity, you are much more loyal. I am loyal to an extent. I know what I want. I like to be treated well as well, but I have seen you go through a lot of terrible periods, help a company get out of as well. So do you want to share that?
Yeah, I have been loyal to a fault in previous companies, and it's fair to say, and it's no secret between us or friends, that I've probably overstayed, not my welcome, but I've overstayed in some companies for a couple of years. I just ended up becoming the furniture. It was just, I was never going to go anywhere because I was told by a CEO, we can't really move you because we can't replace you. And at one point, I did hold 3 job titles, which 3 previous people did do. And after I left, they had to have replaced me and then replace those 2 separate jobs as well. And I would do everything. I go completely out of hours. I would do whatever needed to be doing. I was that. It wouldn't have mattered if I just put strict lines in place, to be honest. Probably been a bit less stressed. With this job, I've tried to actively go in with a different mentality of there is a line that I'm not going to cross anymore. And when it starts getting stale, then that is the time for me to do something about it.
Do you think I'm loyal in my job or I'm not loyal in my job?
You are loyal. I would say your commitment is higher than your loyalty. 2 million% if that was a thing, committed to the job and the team around you and what you want to deliver. Your loyalty is a bit knocked. Your willingness to be loyal 100% has been chipped away at, I would say, by a rather large mechanical bulldozer or something.
And even though it was not a layoff or redundancy, it was more of a cultural experiences that I have had before. I do understand how people feel after repeated redundancies and layoffs that actually happen in their life. It makes you cynical, right? I have seen a kind of instability, a kind of a psychologically anxious behavior around me. And I do feel that no company deserves part of a chunk of your mental health, no matter how good they are, if they cannot extend that goodness to you, if they can't give you a whole set of stability. I am kind of in an awe of how you actually take jobs. I do feel that it has backfired to you a couple of times, being like really loyal.
Yeah, yeah, I do
I do feel that you romanticize this stability way too much.
think I do have this idea in my head that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
But one can dream.
I would not say predictability because I don't think you are in for a salary level itself. You have grown enough where you can actually negotiate your own salary and set the boundaries. But I think it is more about stability, and you, I think, associate stability with loyalty a lot rather than it being about your growth.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'd agree. And that's why I've been actively trying to be slightly different in this one, where it's like, is this mutually beneficial or am I just performing the role of insert job title? Because that job title is going to exist whether I'm there or not. Like, that's my mindset now. It doesn't affect how I go about my day to day work. It's just in terms of my long term commitment. I'm not saying I'm not loyal to the company or anything. It's just, I've just got a slightly different way of thinking about it now.
That actually leads me to our second segment, which is all about the predictability of a salary or a long term control and autonomy.
In a totally ideal world, it would be autonomy. Throw bills in. It is nice to have predictable income
Yeah.
because obviously at this point in time with the business, we don't have the income to both live off the business. So we need the predictable income to fund the long-term autonomy. So it's at this point in time, predictable income, 5 years time, the autonomy, because that kind of matches our 5-year plan loosely.
If we didn't have 5-year plan, then which one would you prefer? If there wasn't a constant voice nagging you, would you actually go after long-term autonomy of the business?
As I've gotten older and more experienced in just life, I was going to do some freelancing on the side anyway, um, which we are trying to do for our own company now rather than me working for another agency.
Yeah.
So it was creeping into me that I did want long-term autonomy rather than going for the stereotypical predictable income of a monthly salary. How about you? Obviously, kind of the way you've already referred to yourself as me being the one in my ear saying we need to do this business, which has probably answered the question. How do you feel about it?
So there are two ways to look at it. I never see myself being in that place where I'm that stressed for someone else's company and someone else's job. I'll rather take that stress for something that I'm building. That is the whole point of it. I really don't want that stress of reporting to someone. And that constantly makes me realize I have a very limited scope of growing in my career because I don't want to be a CMO. And my next step might be, if I really want to break that ceiling, is going to be a CMO because I already work as a director of my department. I already lead a team. That's it. I don't have a higher aspiration to expand my horizon and hence expand my salary, my growth, and everything. So, how am I going to get that growth if I don't want to go that route? Is to make people aware of what I have actually learned and help them achieve that goal without being a CMO. However, unless I establish myself, I would find that variable income very stressful because even though I'm the one who wants to have 10 baskets and put eggs in all the 10 baskets, different basket, I'm the one who also likes having it in one basket and counting them all the time. So that's
Under a
the
heated
difference.
mat. So, moving swiftly on from my witty exclusions, when did you feel that jobs and salaries and security started becoming conditional, written and or otherwise?
As I see it, history being written, most of the people they do say COVID played a part. Yes, COVID actually highlighted a lot of problem that we had in tech industry in terms of management and hiring. But one thing that snowballed quite quickly was when Elon Musk took over Twitter and he decided to fire 90% of the people there. And it highlighted a kind of a problem, which was how bloated organizations were. But it also brought forward the greed, where people started thinking, hey, if I can fire all of the people and still maintain my bottom line or increase it, why not? That snowballed into different organizations. I've seen people who have spent good 20, 25 years of their career into a single organization just to be kicked off without even thinking what that person actually holds. Third thing that I also saw was a lot of ill and malpractices in top management where you would hire someone very senior, you will take the ideas off and you will fire them. When all of these things happened, when well-performing people around me were being laid off, without any reason. I really felt like I'm living in a movie where the big corporates somehow are as villainous as they are portrayed to be. Right now, just like it is in white goods industry, it happened in last 20 years where we build a product and then instead of repairing, we started replacing them. That's what is happening in tech industry as well. We are building product for instant profit. We are not thinking how long that product is going to be used and how long its life cycle is going to be. We are just thinking about our bottom line for next quarter. And that's what has made me feel conditional, because if your overall plan for the future is myopic, your whole understanding of employee is also going to be conditional, right? And I remember a story you told me about someone in one of the companies that you worked with where they let go of a very senior person who was a core part of a tech and they had to rehire them because there was no one else who could solve that problem.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, they didn't actually rehire him in the end because he refused to come back as a full-time employee, obviously, because they let him go after he'd been with the company for, I think, 25 years or something. So they tried to go down the contractor route, saying, oh, what if we bring you on as a contractor? All of us from the previous company were just like, just give them the highest number you can think of because they've done this to you. They've put you for the stress. We had him on Teams calls crying and he built a new product. He was just in tears and it was just like, I didn't know him well as a lot of the other people, but it was just heartbreaking. No one deserves that. But when someone like that goes, who was key to pretty much the whole back end of our system, which is what they bought us for.
So do you feel replaceable?
Well, yeah, because I don't perform a unique function in the company. I'm not a specialist. I mean, you could argue a project manager is a specialist. So if they replace me, the person coming in would have a bedding in period, obviously. And during that time, there could be problems. But yeah, long term, replaceable. The same way I replaced the person that left before me.
Have you ever thought about making yourself irreplaceable in terms of skill sets you have, in terms of projects that you handle?
Well, this goes back to what I said previously about my mindset towards different jobs. So in hospitality, in some of those jobs, I was irreplaceable. And that didn't really get me anywhere long term in terms of development. with this job, I got a slightly different mindset where I'm going to be slightly more selfish. I'm going to go off and do my own training, as everyone should. But I'm doing it in a way that's not going to be linked to my employment, so that there are no extra conditions. The world at the moment is going down the AI route. So for me personally, it would be how to project manage an AI. It's about 80% data, 20% project
Yeah.
management. So yeah, it's just, but it's getting in early so you understand how everything works. So when it does get to a point where it's usable, you have a leg up on everyone because you know how that works instinctively rather than having to learn as you go along.
Yeah. By usable, do you mean like it's not used at all, or it is used, but it is not adopted by mass?
By usable, I mean it's you don't notice it on your day-to-day work. It's just
You
part
mean
of
AI?
anyone can just go in and do it. Like you can have a new starter and go, I need to run this report, and it just does it.
But what about AI agents and agentic AI?
Yeah, I mean, past couple of weeks, I've started looking into and started playing around with building my own AI agent. I recommend you go do it. They're not actually that difficult. It's simply put, it's like a complicated automation
Uh-huh.
to a certain extent. In terms of project management, it's basically making an automation go through an agile process on repeat multiple times until it gets the answer you think you need.
Yeah. Do you think you're gonna lose income or identity with AI down the line if it actually continues to grow with the pace that it is growing?
I think with any role or in a job or function within a company will change over time. That's just what happens. There are different tools that become available, whether that's AI, whether it's a pen or a pencil, or in a perfect world, the project management job would not exist because projects would everyone would just do a project and everyone would do it to what they've been assigned to with no questions asked and it'd be all done perfectly to deadline.
But it's also because project managers tie up a lot of people who are already doing their jobs and bring them together.
Yeah,
That's the role.
this was the point I was gonna get to, was that it's not just that, there are humans involved. AI is really good at dealing with databases and non-human interactions and everything else, but when it comes to people in real world situations, it's not there. So again, like, wouldn't be replaced. What may happen, I think, is there may be less project managers across the tech industry because a lot more can be automated. I think that's probably fair to say.
Your role is
Um,
going to evolve, you mean?
yeah, it's going to evolve rather than go. It just means that it becomes more unstable to a certain extent. But it also, the flip side of that is it does encourage you to be more proactive, and it's the proactive ones that are going to do well out of this. So if you're just kind of sitting on a job because it's the routine, you need to make a decision now before it comes and bites you in the bum 2, 3 years down the line. And you go, I wasn't expecting this. Well, the signs were there. So yeah.
So, when the layoffs were happening around you, did it affect you?
Well, sadly, one of the team got laid off. The other project manager got laid off, and that was a shame because he's really good. And which I think that was more down to because we were being integrated into the team more. I think every department had to go, you need to make some efficiencies. I hate that term, which meant that everyone kind of had to someone go just to show that they're on the new company's way of thinking. But in terms of the workload at the moment, that's not, we're all fine. We're fine. But no, in terms of how I was generally thinking, it was quite, I was sitting there going, not again. Having been made redundant 2, 3 times already in my life before 40, I was thinking, not again.
So, how do you feel about redundancies? How do you feel about layoff? Because I have not been laid off as such, but I feel traumatized even with what's happening, the stress that you have for that couple of weeks to months about unsurety and instability. It's not a nice place to be.
No, I think I've kind of got to the point now where it's like, oh, well, if it happens, like, I need to be aware of it. I can't just be head in the sand going, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Like, if these cuts are happening, I need to be actively doing something to secure my own future. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and get stressed and upset about it anymore because if I'm, for example, how's that going to help me get a new job? Because that's not going to make me seem like I'm confident in an interview, is it? If I'm in that
Yeah.
sort of mindset.
Yeah, true.
So no, I'm not. If I get made redundant again, I'll probably be down about it because obviously I've been let go, and it's at that point you go that we don't think you're good enough for us anymore. And that's never nice to hear. But then part of me will be going, well, after everything that's happened, I'm not entirely sure you were good enough for me in the first place.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I find it quite strange, actually, because I'm the one who has not been through layoffs, particularly that term being used. And I'm the one who is much more traumatized in comparison to you. So I find it quite a strange take that I think it's also about how we process information, right? That takes us to our another segment anyway, which is all about layoff AI and restructuring. So do you feel like, given how many times you have been through whole layoff thing, that it is normalized in tech industry now?
Yeah, that was something I knew before coming into it. If someone goes into tech going, I didn't know layoffs were a normal thing, what have you been doing? Like, you shouldn't even be in the tech industry because you've not been Googling or, sorry, searching for the right things. Like, over the past 10 years, sadly, it is a thing. They hire all these people, they get successful, they hire more, they get bloated, they go, oh, we need to have bigger profits, or we're going to sell. So we lay off loads of people. So then that means our wage bill has dropped dramatically. Oh, look, our finances are all completely boosted fakely. We've made loads of money. The company value goes up. We sell it for more. The shareholders check out. They go to their island. Everyone ends up getting rehired for less money. No one's happy. That's kind of what happened, isn't it?
So you do believe that companies are more loyal to their margins than to the employees who
Yeah,
actually.
like even, I've got no issue with it to a certain extent because I'm sure if I was a shareholder, I'd be more concerned about what do I get out of it than a lot of things. But granted, I'd probably be a bit more, are the staff okay? But then again, would that mean I'm good at that level? Who knows?
I think, yeah, my problem is I understand. And I do understand that everyone at the end of the day is looking towards profit and making some money. But my problem with the whole investment industry right now, if that's the right term, is investors thinking that they need to get 10 times, 20 times, 50 times their return in next 6 months. That duration, how soon you want to get return in your investment, is so short now. We don't have patience for that. And going back to the same thing, like right now, SaaS industries, if they are not delivering more than 30 plus year on year growth, they cannot even raise good money. Like, imagine, it's not 5%, it's not 10%, it's not just being profitable. That's enough anymore about raising more money and expanding yourself. You have to bring year on year at least 30% plus. Ideally, it's around, I think, 50 to 60%, but it's around 30% minimum that you have to bring back as
Well,
a return.
some of the area of tech that I'm in terms of that return on investment, there is a current, I don't know if it's a strategy, but it goes along the lines of we're not looking to get the money back on projects or whatever else for years. They rather take the hit to get the business. So they have this revenue target they want to hit for the first year. And then we don't make a profit on it until year 3, 4, 5.
That is because your company is acquired by another
Yeah.
company and they own most of it. I don't think there are more investors involved. It is more about one company, one big company swallowing a smaller company for the market share it has. I think that's the whole
Yeah.
point of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's still, but when you go to the finance meetings, you go, how are you doing as a department? We're not making any money. Great. All that effort and we haven't made any money. Fantastic. But again, that feeds back into the instability, doesn't it? When you've got all this other stuff going on, you go, is this stable? Because the department's not making money. We're not going to make money for years.
Yeah.
We will make
But
money, but it's just one of those things.
But do you think, like, AI, if you throw AI into the mix of all of this, it actually changes the set of secure skill sets that you'd need to make yourself secure in this environment?
No, it just means the person, i.e. me, has to change or adapt. You can't sit still,
Yeah,
especially in the tech industry. There's no, that's just a general rule. You can't sit still.
that's what
It's
I
an,
mean, like adapt to AI.
yeah, but it's another tool. Like, I know people like using AI and buzzwords, but it is just another tool to me. It's the same as Excel. Like the way I
What
think about it,
what
it's,
Excel was when it was
yeah,
launched.
yeah. It's whatever project management tool a company uses. It's a tool. It's got to be used. It's only good as it's, it's only as skilled as the person skilled. It's only as useful as the person using it.
I think, like, you're also taking it way too much as a tool. Like, for example, last 50 years, there used to be typists on a typewriter, which they had to transition into using keyboards and computers. So there were a couple of typists, the typewriter typist, who were made redundant or they couldn't adapt to. Before that, there used to be writers, people who would actually handwrite things. They become kind of redundant, right? So I think like if you don't adapt to the technology, which is AI, if you don't upgrade your skills as per how AI is going to work and make yourself much more knowledgeable in terms of how your work is going to evolve in terms of this new tool, you are going to be replaced. I can already see that happening in industry. Like entry-level jobs are really down. The job role like designers, copywriters are being replaced by AI tools, and how people who are not writers or not designers using tools like Canva getting things done. And it's not even AI yet. It's just convenience of using and a tool replacing you. And add to that mix a kind of AI, which you can also automate to a certain extent. It is going to replace much more people, much more skill set than what we think right now. Like it's more than a tool. It's more, it's also a bit of a skill set that we have to acquire in terms of keeping, toe to toe with AI and AI's growth.
No, I agree. People are going to have to change, generally speaking. It is something that, for whatever reason, is being forced upon us, even though it's not quite ready. A bit like
Like
3D
this marriage.
yeah, and 3D televisions, you know. And VR, for example, I know slightly off topic, but the VR tech hasn't exactly come that far since the early 2000s, late 90s. But yeah, it's just you just got to learn different things. And the problem you've got as someone who's my age compared to someone who's probably not even going to uni anymore, because you don't need to go to uni to learn these skills. In fact, it probably
Yeah.
helps not to go to university because you have a slightly more free way of thinking to a certain
And
extent.
also less loan on your
Yeah,
heads.
and you got a hell of a lot less money to pay back. That you're going up against people who've come up with this as the standard. Obviously, we're not quite there yet, and it's probably, bear in mind, AI is only really sort of creeping in now. It's probably not going to really affect me on that front until someone who's born today is looking for a job in terms
But
of,
Jamie, I has started replacing the job. That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
content writers are being replaced, designers are being replaced. So do you think like if it can do 30% of your job, will you start feeling unsafe about your job and your skill set and your employability, or you're still going to say that, hey, it's a tool, I just need to learn it?
no, because it'd be down to me using it correctly and proving my worth about why I should be kept.
So how far are you in that, like as a from project management point of view? Because like you rightfully said, as long as there are human pieces to it, you would need some human to manage them because you have to connect those dots, which AI is not great at. It is very great at analyzing data and, giving you an output based on data. But closing those loops, human loops, is something that it's not great at. But if it can do 30% of your job, which is also collecting information and synthesizing it for your customers, for your company, do you feel safe as a project manager in tech?
I mean, it is concerning. I wouldn't say I feel unsafe, me personally. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do feel unsafe. Just thinking on what you just said a bit more, I mean, you could go down the route of arguing that if AI is doing all the donkey work, would then the human interaction just go down to a customer success manager? Would, in that sort of structure, yes, I would be worried because CSM's doing the human bit, the AI is doing the project management bit, and then all the CSM needs to do is just translate that to the human. So no, that would be a concern. So that
Yeah.
would be a concern. Again, back to being adaptable. If the PM role is no longer going to exist, what would that person then need to transition into? Because there will be some sort of crossover.
I saw a graphic designer reposition himself as AI designer, and I found it so brilliant at that, rephrasing. If you had to tell to other young project managers in tech industry about how they can be adaptable, can you tell them what that AI adaptability for project managers look like in next 1 to 2 years?
I would say don't focus on being a project manager as a career. I would say that is a part of your skill set rather than what your job wants to be, because you're going to need to be, if AI is taking over a lot of automations and legwork, for argument's sake, you need to be quite broad in your skill set.
What are the AI skills that they need to learn?
I'd obviously recommend learning a bit about the back end and how they process information, how they gather it, just so you know how to prompt it correctly. and how to get it to getting the answers that you want. So, because if you know how something works, you can predict what it's going to say. And what you get out of it, is it actually real? It's okay having all these AI run all these scenarios and do all these predictions and do all this work. But if it produces a load of rubbish at the end, which is completely off the mark in the real world,
So how do you
then,
check that?
well, that's where you have to start learning on experience, leaning on experience of people senior to you. Well, not necessarily senior, I mean, people more experienced.
But I don't think like experienced people even now can help you out because even
By people in that industry who've done forecasting and like the finance team, like they will know what's realistic based on the market and things that are coming up, which AI may have missed because
Mhm.
of its limitations. 'Cause obviously, it depends on your AI agent that you're using. But for those that don't know, the AI agent, you still have to give it permission to access certain sources. I would say before you get into it, learn about AI and how it works and how an AI agent works, and how it gathers its information, emphasizes it, and then produces it. Because when you get that information at the end of it, you can then put that against real world situations and compare it, because there will be history. And if it's totally wrong, you can go, maybe I need to rephrase my prompt.
sometimes AI might give you an answer that you may feel that, oh, this is correct. But from your experience, someone else could say that, hey, this is not realistic. We have tried this many a times. This only happens in very idealistic and controlled environment. It is not possible in the current scenario.
Yeah, I mean, you always need someone, and they're annoying. You always need a devil's advocate to question
Yeah.
it. There's no point getting a report and going, that is now fact. You need someone to tear it apart and go, right, why? Why? Tell me why. How have you got to this?
Yeah.
But yeah, that obviously, and don't rely on AI. Do your own research as well.
Yes. Yeah. Like AI is just like Jamie said, it's just a tool. It's just means to an end. And you should know how to use a tool properly rather than being 100% dependent on that tool.
Because AI will get to a point where it's very easy for anyone from any industry at any level just to give it a prompt and it will produce what you're asking it to. The difference is going to be how good you are at either training your AI that you use or what specific parameters you give it to search for. You can give the AI a proper scenario, a proper way, and saying within these parameters, please produce it. And the best bit is that you could then put that through another, just a large language model, LLM for the rest of you, like ChatGPT. That's one of the first times I said that right. And it will actually put what your prompt into a fashion that you could then put into an AI agent, and it would produce a good report for you.
Yeah. Sometimes I even ask ChatGPT to actually create its own prompt, a detailed prompt, and then I will take that prompt, tweak it, and give it back to it because now it has told me what its ideal prompt is. So, you make AI work for itself. I've seen many content managers are being replaced because tools like Jasper or even ChatGPT, they can give you a basic, very low level of content based on your prompt anyway. But it doesn't mean that you're just going to copy and paste. You need to be good at having that creative eye as well so that you can bring that human touch. Otherwise, you're going to sound like every other chat answer when you're writing a blog. Replacing human is not as easy as it sounds. You need to have that understanding of what to do, what the good output looks like in order to make AI work for yourselves.
Yeah. And for anyone thinking when ChatGPT goes, would you like me to make this sound more human? And you say yes, it doesn't.
Yeah, it makes it terrible.
Yeah. It makes it sound like a cringeworthy uncle doing a speech.
Yes, it is terrible. So, now we have discussed so much about layoffs, so much about our struggles, our AI. We have went in depth
Positive
about,
episode.
yeah, such a positive episode. Now let's add even more positivity into it by bringing our culture and family in between. I have discussed about how, having career as a doctor or engineer is considered to be much more stable because there's always a job for them. In your upbringing, did you ever feel about having a safe career? Like what a safe career in your childhood actually looked like?
So, mum, she was with one company for many years, many, many, many years, and it was stable. And she was quite high up, especially as a woman. And at that time, which she did all off her own back. So, there was that. And my dad always had reasonably high positions within the industry, but it, It was always, I would say, unstable, the industry, rather than my dad's ability. My dad's ability was very good.
Yeah, because your dad was an automobile. He still is, by the way. Even though he's retired, he's being asked to come back and support the companies and organizations that he was in. But I think automobile industry in general in the UK went through a lot of transition in next last 20, 30 years to have that instability. Lot of things closed down as well.
Yeah, there's lots of moving parts in the automotive industry. There's lots of franchises being taken over, sold, moved, transferred. Yeah, so I did kind of have an idea what a safe career looked like. Um, because even though my dad changed jobs a fair few times from my memory, he always got same or similar positions. So it was a secure industry to go into, in that I could just go get the same job somewhere else. And I was like, oh, hospitality could work. So it was quite interesting. It, where it went after I got to a certain point, which you'd argue would say would be middle management. No, I didn't have an idea of what it would look like, because it was like, oh, I can just get to that point.
So can you say that your definition of stability does come from what you saw your parents have or achieve, and based on that?
Yeah, that'd be fair to say. How about you? What would a safe career look like? Well, outside of doctors and that kind of thing, what would be a safe career for you?
For me, it was very strange. One thing that I knew from the very beginning, and I have seen my mom actually bring that, was having your own financial independence mattered a lot to me. Once she finished her university and she had her job, my life changed. Struggling to get a pencil and being controlled over everything, suddenly I had a parent who would actually give me if something was required in my school. So that changed, and that always makes me feel that no matter which career I am, even if I'm an entrepreneur, I need to have that pocket of money, that safekeeping that is going to keep me safe for foreseeable future till I know that I'm going to have my own stable income. So stability matters to me. But do I want it via entrepreneurship or a job? I think that is debatable because I have always had some or the other form of my own business. Sometimes I do understand, like my mom does get frustrated when I say I'm trying to do something of my own, I'm trying to make it work. And she's like, you already have a job. Maybe, like having that job is much more important. That I can see, and I know where she's coming from. Do I subscribe to that? No. Do I need that? Maybe a little bit. Every one of us seeks for a validation. I need it too. But I also want the same kind of a validation from my own ventures.
So would you say that salary safety is more socially approved for you than being an entrepreneur, for example?
Does my Asian household, Nepali household understand entrepreneurship all the times? No. Do I want that, safety of that salary? Yes. But do I also want the autonomy of entrepreneurship? Also, yes. So I'm just trying to build something, like I said, between that and carve my own path. But I can say that, yes, a good salaried job with a good designation behind your name is much more valued than entrepreneurship or owning your own business.
So if you weren't doing what you were doing now,
Yeah.
what would you want to do?
Have a, like, maybe start investing from my early age, have a couple of investment properties that give me a regular flow of income and retire early. That's what I would be doing, because right now, from where I am, doesn't look like I'm going to retire in next 20, 30 years. I think like I would really love to have a life where you went to university because you were really passionate about a subject and you wanted to study it and learn an art or science or whatever, rather than looking at a university degree and thinking, what kind of job and salary bracket will I get once I graduate? That is what I would not like to do. What about you?
Think I probably would have gone down the route of doing IT in university.
You would have been so good.
'Cause I did do that at A level. So, yeah, I was gonna go do it, but at the time, it was still very much you're in a very stinky room full of stinky boys, and I walked in one day and just smelled a mixture of Lynx and BO and just went, "No."
I do feel that you would have been a great in IT job because you enjoy saying no to people.
I would get so much pleasure out of telling people to just turn it off and on again.
It's one of the curse of being Jamie's wife, is hearing no more than you hear I love you in a day.
Oh, that's painful. Wow.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Well, I'm just going to leave the podcast. Goodbye, everyone. I'm going to go drive somewhere.
So, yeah. So, before you go for your drive, I have a very set of question as a rapid fire for both of us.
Yes.
Is salary security or stagnation?
Stagnation.
Are layoffs personal or structural?
Structural.
Would you feel safer with your savings or your skills as of now? With AI, keep
Skills. Because the way the finance market's going, who knows?
Is being loyal to your day job being a naive, or we need some sort of loyalty in our jobs?
Naive.
Okay, that's all. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, sure. Let's pause that for a second. Now let me ask you a few rapid fire questions. Do you love your husband, yes or no?
No. You didn't have follow-up questions to your rapid fire?
Is it promotion, progress, or permission?
It is it feels like a permission at times because it is so dependent on your boss in lot many organizations rather than your performance most of the time.
Quick fire, come on.
Permission.
Is burnout ambition in disguise?
Burnout is too much work. It is nothing in disguise. It's just pain in disguise.
Is corporate culture support or theatre?
Both. Mostly it's theater. It's just people pretending they know their shit. Like Jamie said before, people are there trying to do their best, but they don't know what they're doing as well.
Is job hopping or survival?
It's a strategy for survival.
And finally, is certainty calming or costly?
Costly these days should be calming.
Thank you very much. So I just want to double check your first answer. Do you love your husband, yes or no? You may have got a bit confused. I know you're dehydrated.
Still no. The answer is still no. And it depends. It depends on what he's going to give me after this podcast. If I get a bowl of ice cream, then I may change my answer to yes. But, by look of he's rolling his eyes to people who are listening. So it is still no from me. I don't love my husband. You can keep on laughing.
I don't really know what to say.
Completely stumped because he expected me to be the docile wife who says him, yes, I love my husband.
As my wife knows, I spend 90% of my time not saying what's in my brain.
It's a lie, people. Even when I'm not looking at him, I can hear him eye roll. It's that loud. By the looks of things, Jamie is going to be laid off from his husband role if he continues to work like this and perform like this. On that note, we are going to end today's episode on layoffs, AI, and stability of job versus entrepreneurship and owning your own business. Hope you enjoyed this and see you next week.
Bye.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.